Hello everyone, welcome to a weekly update video today on Monday the 15th of May. It's been a while since we've done one of these, but as I've always said, I'm not going to make a weekly update video if there's nothing particular to talk about. There's been snippets, but nothing from TFM and nothing from First Officer. And so that takes away a large chunk of what we talk about, because of course those are predominantly the add-ons that the blind community uses within flight simulation. So if there's no news from either of them, unless we get something else particular to talk about on a week, then there's no point making a 2-minute video to tell you, a little snippet of info. But there has been some news from TFM, not from First Officer, although there was a update released a couple of weeks back with some just very vague bug fixes, but nothing particular of note. And I thought I'd do an update to talk about TFM, but as I say, firstly, just to say that BVI Virtual, we had our event of the weekend in Canada this time. We had some nice ATC in Winnipeg, and we had some good ATC out in Toronto, and Montreal as well. Actually, we had ATC pretty much throughout the whole event, and it was probably one of the most well-attended BVI events we've done, if not the most well-attended. I would have to look, but yeah, it was a very good event, and I was really happy with how it went. So great ATC in Canada, and we can only thank them for that. And we have a couple of events coming up, probably in the next couple of months. One potential event out in Italy, and of course there's the potential for a TFM flight in August to celebrate the anniversary, but that will need to be coordinated. But either way, we'll keep you updated on those. So TFM, what is new? Well, as I say, there was nothing particular over the past month or so, but they have now spoken about the fact that focus of Andy is returning to TFM, and I would imagine Jason putting in the time that he has available as well, and they're going to be upgrading to .NET Framework 7, which means that new features will currently be on hold. So I would assume things that we've previously discussed, specifically 747 and SimBrief integration, are on hold. This is why I always caveat these things. It's very easy to hype up features and say, oh, this is great, it's going to be fantastic, but things can come along and timelines can change. So there you go. That's the state of play there. Those features are on hold. It does say new features are on hold, so I'm not sure if those features are still going to be kind of in the background, or whether it's new features other than those. But I would assume at least those will be taking a back seat. No point developing major stuff around an old version of TFM, because they go on to say that the current preview will not be supported. So if you're using that, then I guess submitting copious amounts of bug reports if you find things is not going to be much use. Any bugs currently found will be carried over into the new version of TFM. So I think once the initial stuff is done with the new version of TFM, or the new update with the .NET Framework 7, then existing bugs will be fixed. I have to say, using the current preview, there's no showstopper bugs. I know we've had previously where there's been lag or stuff in the using the runways and gates sections of TFM with the database, and there's been some stuff that's a bit of a showstopper, the lag especially, but there's relatively stable, I would say, this current set of releases, so you shouldn't really have any major issues that are going to stop flights from being successful. So along with .NET Framework 7, they talk about a new set of user interface changes that are going to be made. And at risk of sounding like an Apple keynote every year, they say it's going to be faster, and the FMC is going to be 3 times faster than the old one. No, seriously, I mean, that's good that it's going to be faster. I mean, it's always difficult to say with these kind of things. It obviously depends on your individual user case and probably on your system and things. And I don't exactly think the current FMC is slow, but I think we're never going to complain, are we, about things getting faster and sleeker and whatever. It's always a good thing. They also go on with some kind of generic stuff. It's less time to implement new features and quicker to fix bugs and all these kind of things. I think essentially it's just to say it's a bit of a quality of life thing rather than a major flashy thing, but it is nevertheless obviously important to keep things up to standard. And they also go on to say it'll be less resource intensive. Honestly, I don't find the current TFM resource intensive at all. I've run it on a pretty low end laptop when I'm out and about, and I don't find it resource intensive. But there you go. Again, it's going to be even less resource intensive than it is now. But the exciting things, I would say, the really nifty things in this is going to be the new FMC. So they talk about it will have an increased refresh rate of up to 10 seconds. I'm guessing that's the auto refresh rate. Of course, you can always refresh it manually. This is a nice one. The cursor will remain at the current place when you refresh. Yeah, that's useful. It is kind of annoying when it jumps around. And they also point to the fact that you'll now be able to change line select keys on the fly, i.e. whether you want to use the F keys or Alt and Control, which is a nice feature, I guess. I mean, I can't see myself changing on the fly, really. I mean, I use one, and that's just what my muscle memory's used to, but it's nice that it's there, I guess. This is going to be very nice. So here's some things that have been a bit of a pain for quite a while. You'll be able to enter things into the scratch pad before hitting enter key to send it to the scratch pad. This is useful because, obviously now it currently types right into the scratch pad. So if you make a mistake, you kind of got to go back and sort it out. Not just in TFM, but you've also got to make sure it deletes whatever you're trying to delete in the PMDG scratch pad. Here, you can get everything set in the scratch pad to what you want it to actually send. And then hit enter, and then that block of text will then be sent, right? So if you have to change something before because you made a mistake before you hit enter, then you can do that within TFM rather than having to worry about, oh, well, that already got sent to the PMDG scratch pad. And this is related to the fact that the clear button will now clear both TFM and the PMDG scratch pad. Another useful feature, because that can be really annoying now. You're trying to hit clear because you've typed something in wrong, or there's some erroneous values in there, and it might clear it out of TFM's edit box, but it doesn't seem to clear it out of PMDG's, and you have to spam it and all this kind of stuff. So the fact that you'll just be able to hit that button and it'll go and clear both will be useful. There is some stuff in here for sighted users and partially sighted users, which is actually really nice to see, because I know there are some partially sighted individuals or people who have some vision that don't necessarily fly in the same ways that we do. Maybe they can access some of the payware aircraft in a slightly better way, but they might use TFM because of the ability that it provides to have a pop-out FMC kind of thing, or panels, or they might use TFM, if they use a screen reader in combination, because then maybe they've got, issues with looking at things for long periods. So it's really nice to see that. And the font size will change with the windows, and there's some talk in here about how, the interface is generally just going to be cleaned up to look a bit nicer. The pressed indicators and toggles will change as well, so you'll now hear if things are pressed or not pressed, rather than some of the slightly more convoluted, I guess, readings that you would get from switches and buttons to tell whether they were, what state they were in. And they will also change color for sighted users, so it's easier to see whether they're pressed or not. Again, a nice little feature. They say there's no deadline on this, so it looks like this is mainly going to be something they're working on up until the expo. I imagine they would like to get it out before the expo, or make significant progress so they can mention it in the presentation, and they can maybe get something out before then, but there's no deadline. They round out the post by speaking about their expo presentation, which will be, of course, on the 25th of June, and it's going to be at 10 a.m. I would imagine that's local time zone for out in Houston, Texas. and yeah, you can register online. Obviously that's the predominant method for those of us who will not be taking an extensively long flight out to the States for a weekend. But of course, you know, if you're out in the States and you plan to go, I hope you have a great time. It's sure to be a fun event, and you know, we will definitely cover it. We will definitely speak about the presentation. I won't be able to, you know, I'm not going to be like live streaming the presentation or anything, because you have to actually go online and purchase a pass. So if you go do that, and you can watch it, but I will, you know, speak about the presentation and wish them all the best, and hopefully, you know, it goes well. So that's going to do it. I'll say it on here as well. I did put it in the group. So the First Officer podcast, we were going to do a First Officer podcast. Unfortunately, the guy had an incredibly busy schedule. He was moving his family to a different state. And he said he was going to show up several times and then didn't, got waylaid. And so we said to him, look, we don't have the time to wait around and just, you know, carve out chunks of our day in case you turn up. So let us know when you are able to do this. And I think we can see that he's still relatively busy. As I said, there's not really been any First Officer updates coming out recently, not nearly at the same volume that they were before. Microsoft, of course, if you want to know, has there been any accessibility changes? Not at the moment. Their beta just got released for their Avionics 2 update, which is changing the 747 and the 787. You know, essentially, this will be making them a little bit more usable, improving the VNAV, improving the instrumentation, the flight directors, the ND, all this kind of stuff. Not very much use to us right now. You know, I mean, you never say never, and it's always nice to see these kind of projects, and obviously it'll be a free update for all the simmers, so the fact that they'll get some slightly higher quality airplanes by default is always a good thing, but not really relevant to us right now. But you never know in the future, who knows, if we could do something with this interface with it. By the sounds of it, they're decent quality. They're certainly not PMDG quality, so if you're thinking, oh no, what's going to happen with, you know, the PMDG kind of lining up 747 and stuff, if they're doing this avionics beta? Well, it's nowhere near that kind of quality. It's just to bring it up to a decent level so that it's flyable, probably on something like VATSIM, but not the granular detail of PMDG. But this is the working title team that are working with Asobo. So yeah, that's pretty much it with Microsoft. There's nothing particular of note, but I thought I'd just mention that. Right, I don't know whether there'll be one next week. As I say, it's just pretty much when there's something to update you on, or when I can get enough to make a 5 or 10 minute video out of stuff. So that's kind of the state of play. I am rather busy at the moment, so I know that streams aren't happening as frequently, but that's always the case. We kind of go through periods where we can stream and where we can't. I'll try and get one in over the next few weeks. I know we did the poll, and the 747 was one that people really wanted to see, along with some freeware aircrafts like the DC-10. Haven't forgotten about it. It will happen at some point, but I don't know exactly when, because my time is filled up with academic and social engagements. So it's, you know, very much kind of on the fly. If I get a few hours, great, we do it. If we don't, then no. Right, I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching, and I hope it was useful.